In this video, I'm going to be ranking the top 10 best power forward cards right now in NBA 2K23 My Team. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below which power forwards you guys currently running on your squad and who do you guys think are the best power forwards in the game, and let me know what you guys would change about my top 10. But coming in at the number 10 spot, this one is really a toss-up. I feel like my top 9 is pretty set in stone for me, but like at number 10, some honorable mentions. I mean, Galaxy Yi, Galaxy Dirk, even Bob Nedelecki. I mean, there's a ton of different power forwards that I am going to be leaving off this list that I do think you could possibly put over a card like Dino. I still think he's a little bit better than those guys because he does have a 7'11" wingspan, a really good player model in game, and I just personally really like this Dino card. I think he plays really good defense in game. I like the fact that my power forward can actually move at a very high level. I know most people aren't going to be moving with your power forward. He's not going to be your main ball handler, but I still feel like it's nice to have a card that can really move at the power forward spot with this D Francis size up and able to take those slower power forwards off the dribble and able to create his own shot. And I personally really like the Donovan Mitchell base. It's one of my favorite bases in the game. I just feel like it's super easy to green, and then he's also got amazing dunk packages with the front clutches. I feel like he rarely ever gets blocked if you do activate this safe dunk. So all around, I do think Dino is the 10th best power forward. At the number 9 spot, for me, it's got to be Dark Matter Anthony Davis. You could maybe have him a little bit higher. I just feel like he was a super underwhelming power forward card. It's just the fact that they didn't change his jump shot because he's a tad bit undersized. He does have really good animations in game, and he's going to be a very good defender. So the fact that he's 6'10" isn't going to be a huge factor with this card. It would have been nice if he's, 7 foot, 7'1", or even 6'11", would have helped a little bit with this card. But I mean, the fact that his jump shot's only on quick timing, I feel like that's what really hurts the card in my opinion. If you had a new jump shot, or maybe even his release on very quick timing, would have helped it out a little bit more. But personally, I think they should have gave him O'Shea Brissett base. They could have gave him Kyle Kuzma base. They could have gave him maybe even like that Bielitsa, I think it's Jokic that has it, something like that. They could have gave him a better base on quick timing or very quick, because if this card had a better jump shot, he would be a lot higher on my list. But with the current jump shot being a little bit baited in my opinion, he's still going to be a really good power forward. We definitely remember from his Galaxy Opal version in the trophy case, he's going to play way better than his stats and badges might look in game, just because his animations are really nice on the defensive end. But because of his jump shot, I got to put him at number 9. For me, I'm going Chris Bosh over Anthony Davis, simply because it comes down to the release. I mean, their player model is about the same. Bosh is a little bit taller with a little bit more wingspan. Defensively, Anthony Davis will be better on the defensive end, but I don't think it's by like a huge margin. But the massive difference is when we talk about the offensive end with Chris Bosh. I mean, this release, even though they're both on quick timing, is so much faster of a jump shot. Their SIGs are about the same. I mean, they're not going to be moving too much at the power forward position, but I just like Chris Bosh's ability to shoot the ball and stretch out the floor a lot more than Anthony Davis is, and I do think they're going to be somewhat similar on the defensive end. Anthony Davis is 1000% the better defender, but I don't think it's by like a crazy massive margin to where Anthony Davis is a better power forward card. But if you want to say AD is better than Bosh, I don't think it's a wild statement to say. At the number 7 spot for me, you got to show love to the Dark Matter Giannis card. I mean, he still plays way and above his true stats and badges. Like, this card is still one of the most glitchy, overpowered, just absolutely dominant cards in the game because he's 6'11" with a 7'4" wingspan. If you guys have used Giannis or played against him in my team, you guys will know he just plays well and above his stats and badges. I mean, the card plays elite defense. He can sit on ball, he can guard the wings, he can even guard the bigs, maybe not the Yao Mings or the Tacos, but he can hang with like a D-Rob, he can hang with the Dirk Nowitzki, these power forwards. He can hang with the Bosh and Anthony Davis, a Dino, and he can really clamp up those guys on the defensive end. Going to the basket is going to be unstoppable and a really good masher. And jump shot is where I personally don't like this card. Not the biggest fan of his release, and he also does step in from the corner when you try to take those corner threes. So if you had a better jump shot, and if he didn't step in from the corner, so maybe a tad bit higher 3-ball, and then maybe some more shooting badges, maybe like catch and shoot and Claymore and corner specialist on Hoff, that would really help him out. So once he gets his new Dark Matter card, that's what I look to see with the Giannis. And I do think if he gets a better jump shot and he doesn't step in from the corners, I do think he'll be a much better power forward. But overall, I still think he's the 7th best in the game. At the number 6 spot, I'm gonna show love to the Galaxy Opal KG. I think he's a very underrated power forward in the game. He's 6'11" with a 7'2" wingspan, and he's just a solid card. There's nothing too crazy about Kevin Garnett. The way that I kind of look at it is he's Anthony Davis with a better jump shot and also better dribble SIGs as well, because this release with LaMelo base is so much better than Anthony Davis's. And then he's also got some pretty good dribble SIGs with the De'Aaron Fox size up and the Kobe Bryant escape. So that's the way I kind of personally look at it, is he is Anthony Davis on the defensive end. He's got tons of half defensive badges, 97 block, 95 interior defense, 90 steal, 90 perimeter. I mean, he's going to be elite on that end of the ball. And then I do think he's better offensively because of his jump shot and his dribble stigs as well. But at the number 5 spot, not the biggest fan of Dikembe at the power forward position. I think this is the second best center card in the game. I don't know what it is about him at power forward. He feels, I wouldn't say sluggish, but he just doesn't feel as fast as those crazy athletic power forwards in the game that we'll talk about here in a second. You could probably have him a little bit higher. I just view this card more as a center. He's still super dominant on the defensive end. Don't get it wrong. I love this Dikembe card. I really do want to lock him in on my main account. I personally would just play him at the center position. I do think he's going to be a lot better there. Maybe it's due to his jump shot not being like the quickest for a power forward and only having a 79 3 ball. I like my power forwards to be able to space out the floor. You guys will see. I mean, there's not too many power forwards in the game that can space out the floor, but I like my center to have a better jump shot, just like this card in the Dark Matter Kristaps Porzingis. Now, I know a lot of people will say he's going to be higher than number 4. That might seem a little bit low, and if you want to have him number 3 or number 2, or even maybe number 1, I think that's perfectly cool to say. I just don't know about Kristaps at the power forward position. Kind of similar to a Dikembe Mutombo. I just think these cards play so much better at center, especially with how many little centers we have in the game. If you guys have a Kristaps, if you have a Dikembe, I just don't see really where you play these cards to the power forward position unless you have literally the best squad in the game. You got Taco, you got Yao, and then off the bench you want to run one of them at power forward. That's perfectly cool. I'm just saying most of these cards, or a couple of these last cards, Dikembe and Kristaps, I would say are better off at the center position, where a card like Dark Matter D-Rob, I think at the power forward position is going to be a little bit better. As a card, I like Kristaps and even Dikembe Mutombo over D-Rob as a card. I think they're better cards in the game, but I think for the power forward position, you'll find a little bit more success with D-Rob's defense and his speed. He's got, Kristaps' 3-point ability, the ability to stretch out the floor, and then he's got Dikembe's defense with tons of Hall of Fame defensive badges, only missing one on Hall of Fame, which is Pick Dodger, and then every single other defensive badge is on Hov. So for me personally, I think D-Rob is the 3rd best power forward in the game. At the number 2 spot, I think number 2 and number 1 is really close. I mean, it's definitely a debate. I personally think Cream is the 2nd best power forward in the game. I'm not the biggest fan of his release. Once again, I think this card potentially is better at the center position than he is power forward. I think if you want to run this card, unless you have the Yao Mings, the Tacos, all of these amazing cards, I would probably recommend running Cream at the 5. I mean, he can definitely play the 4 because of his defense, his athleticism. Once again, I just like my power forwards to be able to space out the floor a little bit more, unless we're talking about a Taco Fall card, who I do think is the best power forward in the game, just because of the fact that he's unguardable on the offensive end at the power forward position. You might think a D-Rob, you might think a Dikembe has a good chance, but this Taco card is still able to match those cards and just overall be a dominant force on the offensive end and defense as well. Like, this is one of the most glitchy, broken cards we've seen all year this year in my team, at least in my opinion. I know Yao Ming's really good, and Yao Ming's still probably a better card than Taco, but I think the fact that Taco is pretty much Yao Ming but plays the power forward position, that's the way that I personally look at it, because Taco's also got a better player build in my opinion. He's got that lanky wide player build, and he's also got a longer wingspan as well, so he's able to cover more ground, get those paint stops, just be a little bit better on the defensive end than a card like Yao. And then jump shot really comes down to preference. I think for the power forward position, I do have Taco at number 1, but if you want to put Kareem, you want to put Kristaps or D-Rob at the number 1 spot, even Dikembe Mutombo, I think all of these top 5 power forwards in the game can be considered the best of that position. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about my top 10 power forwards, and let me know what you guys would change, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.